3, 8, we're splitting into 2. One that deals with the slope of parallel lines, and then on Monday we'll deal with the slope of perpendicular lines. So today we are just talking about the slopes of parallel lines. So what I'm going to start with is a picture for you. You don't need to write this down right now. Just watch and see what you notice. If I give you a line, I missed. Pretend I didn't miss. Oh, sorry, guys. That would be helpful, huh? There it is. Okay. So I give you that line, and I give you this line. I really should have used a straight edge, sorry. Okay, so we have these two lines. Those are parallel lines, right? They're never going to touch. What is true about their slopes? They're the same, okay? So that's the first thing we're going to talk about is if two lines are parallel, then their slopes are the same. Okay, they have equal slopes. You can also say the converse of that. If two slopes of the slopes of two lines are the same, then the lines are parallel. Both are true. Okay. The only lines that this doesn't work for is vertical lines, because vertical lines don't have the same slope, because vertical lines don't have a slope. Their slope is undefined, right? But vertical lines are always parallel too. So you can say all vertical lines are parallel, and if their slopes are the same, they are parallel. Okay. So I'm going to give you a picture, again, another graph, and we're going to determine if the lines are parallel. Okay, so asking the question, are the lines parallel? And here is our graph. Okay, let's say I give you, and I'm going to color code them just so you can see what is what here, a point at -3, 3, and a point at -1, -4. So here's our first line. And then we have a second line, a point at -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, 5, and a point at 2, -4. Okay, so we have these two lines, and we want to know if they are parallel. How do we tell if lines are parallel? Right, so if we're going to compare slopes here, there's two ways you can go about this. You could just count it right now. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 2. So down 7 over 2 is a slope of -7 over 2, or 3.5, -3.5, sorry. So I know that the slope of my purple line is -3.5. Or if you don't want to count them or don't have a picture, maybe you just have the points and you don't have a graph of them, you can always plug them into slope formula. So if I plug this into slope formula, it's going to be y2 minus y1, so -4 minus 5. Remember, those are interchangeable. You can call it y1 or y2 on either one of them. But if I start at this one, then I have to start at this one on my x's. So 2 minus a -1. That would be plus a positive. So -4 minus 5 is -9. 2 plus 1 is 3. So my slope of the green line is negative 3. My slope of the purple was negative 3.5. The question is, are the lines parallel? Why? Right, they have different slopes, and we said parallel lines will always have the same slope. Okay? So if you get the same slope, yes, they're parallel. If you get different slopes, no, they are not parallel. Okay? Questions on that? All right. Example 2. They're going to ask for the equation of a line parallel to y equals negative 3x minus 5 that goes through the point negative 1, 8. Okay. Can you give me the equation of a line parallel to this line that goes through this point? And I'll tell you right now, a lot of people make mistakes on this problem because they see this equation and they think you have to use everything from that equation. You do not, okay? If I want to be parallel to this line, what is the thing that I need to pay attention to? To be parallel. The slope, right? What is the slope of that line? Negative 3. So the only thing you need is that negative 3. The rest of this is junk. We don't want anything to do with any of it. Ignore it, okay? This is your slope. That's all we want out of that equation. The rest of your information comes from this point, and that point is your x1, y1, okay? So we're gonna put it into what form right now if we have a point and a slope? Point slope form, right? So we're gonna do y minus your y value, which is 8, equals the slope, which is negative 3, times x minus your x value, which is a negative 1. Remember, minus a negative becomes plus a positive. So your answer, your equation, is just going to stop right there. You don't need to try to put it into slope-intercept. You can leave it in point slope, but that's what it should look like. Y minus 8 equals negative 3 times x plus 1. Okay? Good on that? All right, let's do one more of those, and then I have one other little problem, a lot like one of the ones in your homework. What if I want to go parallel to y equals negative x minus 7 and go through the point negative 5, 3? Are you all with me right now? I feel like we have like half of you with me and half of you doing something else right now. How do I go parallel to this? You find the slope. What is the slope? Negative 1, right? So you're just pulling a slope of negative 1 out of that. The rest of it, we don't want anything to do with, right? Just ignore the rest of it. So we have our slope. We have our point. Put that into point slope for me. What would that look like? Y minus 3, right? Y minus 3 equals negative 1 x plus 5, right? It's minus a negative 5, so minus a negative becomes plus a positive 5. And that's your equation. Okay, don't do anything to it. Just leave it in point slope form and call it good. Good on that? Okay, last little thing, because you're going to see this in the homework and I don't want you confused on what it is. If I give you something like this, 3x plus 4y equals 12, and 6x plus 2y equals 6, and I ask you if those lines are parallel, how can you determine if they are? Right. You need to put it into that y equals mx plus b form. You need slope intercept, right? Because we need a slope. standard form doesn't have a slope. So there's no slope given here. So we're just gonna solve for y. Take away 3x, take away 3x. So you get 4y equals a negative 3x plus 12. Oops. And then divide by 4. So it's y equals negative 3/4 x plus 3. Okay, so that's one equation. What's my slope? Negative 3/4. Okay. The second equation, again, solve for y. So take away the 6x, take away the 6x. So you have 2y equals negative 6x plus 6. And then divide by 2. So y equals negative 3x plus 3. Okay, so there's my second equation. What's the slope of that line? Negative 3. Okay. Are those two lines parallel? No. Your slopes are different, right? If they have different slopes, they will not be parallel. Okay? Questions on that? That's the whole thing.